My name is Illah. I'm originally from New Delhi, India. I moved over here a few years ago, and it was like a cultural shock to me.
Okay, so how many years ago has it been since you moved to the U.S.?
About 7.
And what part of the United States did you move to?
First, I moved to Hollywood, California, and I was at music school, but I was subleasing. So which meant that at times if the person that's subleasing the apartment gets kicked out, you basically get kicked out. And I was unaware of that because I was from a different country. I got kicked out of there, and then I was basically not in Hollywood no more. It wasn't Hollywood anymore for me.
So when you got kicked out, where did you go to?
When I got kicked out, I started, asking friends, family for favors, stuff like that. Somehow, due to one of my friends, I ended up in the city of Compton. Uh, Big culture shock for me,
Yeah.
Even though that's not originally where I'm from, and I've stayed in a lot of different, cities and parts of LA County. That's where I felt the most love for who I was. I could just be myself. I could be, from India, whoever I am, because it's so much of a melting pot.
Do you find that black people judge the least?
Yeah, to be honest, really, a lot of people tell me that like I'm one of the real life examples of how black people are the least judgmental and the least racist despite what they actually go through.
Yeah,
It's ironic.
It's crazy because when you look in black neighborhoods all across the country, they have accepted everybody who moves into their neighborhood.
Right?
Yeah, but when they move into another neighborhood, they don't get
It's
accepted.
yeah, they're like ostracized in a way.
So what was it like when you I assume when you got to Compton, you was hanging out with a lot of blacks or Mexicans or both?
I'd say a mix of both, to be honest, because times change. Even if you're say it's a primarily African American neighborhood, it's still people that grow up and they're non-black, but they're under that community. They love those people. They grow up with them, go to schools with them. So that's what really makes me comfortable in LA, because even in different cities I've been in, and, LA and Compton, they're the most like diverse. You'll find people of all types of races here, and all types of backgrounds. So it's just I fit in somehow.
All right, so let's take me back to India before you decided to come here. Take me back to your childhood. What is the country of India like?
The country of India is actually nothing like what people probably expect it to be. I've been in so many different positions with different social economic like backgrounds of like people that belong to different backgrounds, and all of them have one thing in common, and it's like they don't know what actually India is. So I felt like a lot of people have miseducation on what India really is.
Well, I think the word India and Indian is used for so many different things. Even
Right.
here in the U.S.,
Right.
Indians mean the natives.
Right, exactly.
But it's a term that is very, it's a loosely used term.
Right, definitely.
So when you say India, maybe most people don't even know what the heck you're talking about, right?
No, you're right. You're definitely right.
Now, did you grow up in a part of India that was rural or city?
Ironically, I grew up in a part of the city that was really advanced, really modern. I went to a school where everybody spoke English. What people don't know, every state in India, we speak a different language. So for us to communicate with each other, it's mandatory for us to speak English and learn and write English.
Okay, so how many states are there in India?
27.
And each state has a different language?
I'll be damned if I mess up.
So you're saying
Basically,
there's over 20 languages?
yeah, definitely over 20 languages. Like if you go over like out west, it's different. If you go over east, it's different. If you go towards the eastern, not eastern part of India, people look Chinese, but they're dark skinned because they're right by China, and like
Is that near Mongolia?
that's right by Nepal.
Nepal, okay.
Mhm.
All right, so of these different languages, if you learn one of them really well, like you did,
Mhm.
does it allow you to understand and know some of the other ones a little bit?
Yes and no. Because in America, if we go to Atlanta or Louisiana, it's English, but it got a twang on it. However, in India, it's like even though the sub dialect is kind of the same, it's still really different. Like they're different words. Different words mean different things, so it's really subjective.
And you learn English at, I guess, I don't know if they call it grammar school or grade school, but you learn it young when you go to school at what, 5 years old?
Yeah, basically you can make it past middle school or make it past high school if you don't know English.
What grade does, how old are you when you go to school in India?
4. I started at 4. I think that's the normal age too.
And what age do they start teaching English?
At 4.
At 4.
Nah, it's actually crazy because you know when I meet people here, they're like, "Wow, your English is good," but the whole time it's like British English, that's like basic English, like you know.
Yeah. So tell me about your original language, your original dialect there in India.
I grew up speaking Hindi. Hindi is the national language, and the second national language is English. So everybody needs to know English, and everybody needs to know Hindi. But you know.
But even though you said there's over 20 languages, but Hindi is widely known, right, throughout all the states?
Yeah, but it's not widely spoken. Like
Okay.
you could still go to South India and be a complete stranger, you know.
Okay. And how has Hindi helped you in the United States, knowing that language? Has it been useful at all here?
Yeah, like I give my 7-Eleven discount.
Oh my God. He said he gets
Yeah.
a 7-Eleven discount. That's got to be the funniest thing I heard all day.
Moving to Compton, the closest relationship I had to like an Indian person was the dude that worked at the liquor store, JJ Liquor. Shout out Rocky from JJ Liquor on Rosecrans. He was like probably the closest Indian I could, you know, like I could talk to, go to like, hey bro, like this is what's happening, like in Hindi, like, you know, really feel like I'm with somebody of my culture, you know.
Okay. And what city in India did you learn Hindi and spend most of your time?
You know, I grew up in New Delhi, so that was like, it's the capital. Growing up there, I had like a closed mindset. I knew that somewhat I had to do, you know, be in a commercial job. In India, if you're not a doctor, engineer, or a surgeon, you basically, you know, you're like just another statistic, if that makes sense.
Do they use the word like peasant out there?
Nah.
The commoner?
Yeah, commoner, yeah, because peasants are almost for farmers, you
Yeah.
know, lots of farmers in agriculture in India.
So when you were young, did you aspire to be an engineer or a surgeon?
I don't think that was ever in my books. At some point, I wanted to be an astronaut, but you know,
Yeah.
say you grow up and you realize certain shit just not for you.
Now, I've seen photographs of New Delhi. In fact, I have a textbook where the cover of the textbook shows a New Delhi street that's full of traffic, little bits of animals,
And
cars.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. Is that a stereotype, or is that really what it looks like?
That's a stereotype, but that's one of the stereotypes that actually live to like actuality, like if it makes sense, like, you know, like it's real. You moving here, even though, you know, people don't really follow jaywalking as a rule and stuff, like moving here, like I realized like you can't just cross the street, you're gonna get hit, like, you know. Over there, people will stop for you. Like there's cows in the street, animals, people, you feel me, fruit vendors, stuff like that. But certain cities now it's changing. New Delhi, Bombay, all the major cities where it's investment, multinational companies coming, big brands, malls, stuff like that. It's definitely changing now, you know.
So that to a certain degree, cities in India are being gentrified.
Yeah. Just like how in LA County so much is being gentrified for the Olympics and, you know, just for overall, it's the same way how India is being gentrified, but India has been gentrified. It's been a process that's been ongoing for about 10 plus years now.
Now, in New Delhi, are there parts of the community that are ghettos and they have cliques and kids usually group together and get into
Yeah.
fights? Is there sort of that type of culture there as well?
It is, but it's not, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, in India, we grow up going to school with Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs are the people that wear turbans, you know, they're over from Punjab, and even Christians. People don't know that there's actually a real diverse makeup. So growing up, ironically, a lot of the fights and a lot of the bullshit, for the lack of a better word, happens in India over religion.
Wow. With the young people?
Yeah, even with the young people, they just, you know, it's a lot of propaganda, you know.
So there's a lot of kids that may be Muslim, and let's say they get into it with kids that are from another background.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because I didn't grow up like that, But now leaving India 5, 6, 7, almost 10 years, I'm starting to realize and know like, whoa, like it's the violence for the most part has been religion based, because growing up, violence wasn't more than, just normal stuff. People get into fights. It wasn't organized.
Now, what's the access to weapons like in India? There are a lot of guns, revolvers, semi-automatic weapons.
Revolvers for the most part. I call them Abraham Lincolns. But, in India, not everybody has the access to a weapon. So it's a good thing and it's also a bad thing, because India is extremely corrupt. It's not like America. You get pulled over, you could give somebody $200 and really go. So in America, you can't give nobody $200. That's another charge.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, that's not going to work here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's not to say there's not corruption here, but it's a different kind
Right,
of corruption.
right. On different levels,
Yeah. So, how often would the religious conflict between youth become deadly?
I mean, it depends, because there's rural India and then there's, the gentrified India, for the lack of a better word. Like, that's the new India, That's for people like me, past 90s, 97, 98. Like, we're growing up in multicultural environments, multicultural communities. We grow up learning about, different cultures outside ours. So we're way more open, if that makes sense. But in rural parts where there's a lack of education and a lack of just, basic understanding of, we're all human, it's way more than it is in major cities. Like in major cities, we grow up, going to school. Even if it's like a, racial thing, we make fun of each other and get over it. It's not how extreme it is in rural places, because, they're prone to fall, quicker to political agenda, if that makes sense,
Yeah, definitely. I think we have the same thing here in the United States, where in the rural parts, there's a lack of education, there's a lack of openness.
Right.
But in the city, in the metropolitan areas, when people are more advanced.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, is there an official religion in New Delhi? Does the government have an official religion?
So this is what's kind of interesting, certain political parties, they favor, or they're based or funded by certain religious groups or religious organizations that favor a particular religion. So yes and no, I would say the Congress, for example, like the Congress is, in my opinion, probably non-biased or non-religion based. But then there's other ones which are religion based, but they're not really wrong either. They're doing good for the community. So it's like super subjective, It's not the same, like it is, but it's more like people want to feel like they're being divided so people could rule over them in a way.
Okay. And what is the religious belief of most people in the city parts, like New Delhi? Is there a majority type of religious thought, philosophy?
No, because it's like I said, like even if you go to a public school, there's a 99% chance you're going to school with even white and black people. So moving to America wasn't like, oh, you feel me? It wasn't as surprising to me, because growing up, I got used to diversity. In my country, it's all like over 20 languages and over 200 dialects essentially. So I've, since a kid, I've ate different types of food. I've been to different, parties or people's houses, embraced their religion. So to me, in my mind, we're all one,
So what is your favorite type of food, Indian food, to eat that you miss, that you don't get here?
Actually, you could get all the Indian stuff here now,
Yeah.
America's advanced with that, There is an Indian community in LA, so,
What do you recommend, food-wise?
Vegetarian or non-vegetarian?
Whatever your preference is.
Butter chicken. It sounds disgusting, but it's not. It's not chicken actually cooked in butter. It's just like a gravy that's kind of buttery. It's creamy gravy and it's chicken.
And in India, are the chickens mostly farm raised?
Yeah, yeah. For the most part, we don't like now. It's kind of changing with the multinational corporations coming in. But before that, I mean, for the most part, it's just, very hand to mouth. Even the fruits, there'll be vendors that come to your house and they'll walk around and you could actually buy it like that. It's not actually a grocery as a system.
So you're getting fresher food for the most part, because here we don't know where our chicken's coming
Yeah,
from, right?
we don't know where our food is, grown, how, with what, with what chemicals.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the farm grown chicken in India doesn't have as many chemicals and hormones, maybe none at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure, but it's definitely it's more hand to mouth, or at least when I lived there 5 to 7 years ago, it was more hand to mouth. It's changing now though, because they have grocery stores and grocery outlets and stuff, so it's definitely becoming more modern. But for the most part, it's in India, a lot of people do agriculture. If like Compton has an agricultural history too, so that's why I kind of understand certain stuff. Like in India, many people that fall below poverty line, they're farmers, so I understand that system, and I understand how the companies come in and change stuff up. And
so being that you were living in New Delhi, you never really got to participate in agriculture as a kid, right?
no, but growing up, it wasn't like, seeing a farm was like something that was like, oh, this is out of ordinary. Like it was normal,
And there's quite a few livestock walking around the streets of New Delhi,
Yeah.
right?
It's actually funny. When I first moved to the U.S., I would show my friends Bollywood movies and stuff like that. Try to show them what it looks like, because it's not an accurate representation, but it still is in a way, So I would try to show them, and they'd be like, "Damn, I really got cows on the street," and it was really like, I didn't know if it was a bad thing or a good thing, because to us it didn't really matter. Growing up in a third world country, you don't really think about so many materialistic things.
So was the entertainment industry in India centered around the city of Bali?
There's actually no city called Bollywood.
No, but Bali. Isn't it called Bali?
No,
No?
it's called Bombay.
Bombay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mumbai.
So where does that term Bali or Bollywood come from?
I think it was just original spin-off of Hollywood, and that's where it came off from. It was Bombay and Hollywood, and then they made it Bollywood. And it's like Hollywood, honestly. They got sets there, filming studios, all types of stuff. But it's
And the audience for those movies are mostly Indian?
yeah, I mean it's international, with the advent of internet and technology and stuff. So many people know about our culture, but for the most part, yes. And they have a specific target audience. People that watch Bollywood movies, that's the specific target audience for them.
Were you entertained by those Bollywood movies?
Yeah, for sure. It's like sci-fi in a way.
And they're all in English?
No, they're all in Hindi.
They're all in Hindi?
Or for the most part. Now it's local movies and indigenous communities coming out and speaking and making movies and movies about their individual communities in India. But for the most part, it was widely known for being Hindi.
Okay. And what are the misrepresentations that you see in those Bollywood movies for outsiders like myself that would be watching them to look out for?
I mean, it's just unrealistic, It'll be like a scene where somebody's getting jumped, and he just like Bruce Lee kick through that, like, wham, gone. You feel me? And for the most part, it's a cool it's an actual representation of India, but it's radical. That makes sense.
Let me ask you: Do the actors and actresses, do they look a certain way that only the Bollywood community accepts, in terms of like you audition, they're looking for a certain look? Is it skin tone? Is it hair?
I feel like yes and no.
Okay.
Because in India, there's always been like a skin tone type thing. People from North India are lighter and people from South India are darker. That's probably one of the reasons why I didn't feel like, when I moved here, I didn't really feel like too like uncomfortable in America. It was just like, how people feel bothered. Like I never felt like that.
So is New Delhi in the southern part of India?
No, it's actually in the northern part of India,
Okay.
somewhere in the middle.
So most of the people there are lighter than you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no, to be honest. You know, like I said, like it's such a melting pot. I even went to school with people from America. You know,
Okay. So now, how old are you when you decide you're gonna leave India and come to the United States?
probably like I ain't gonna lie. Growing up, I used to come to LA a lot, but it wasn't like it would be a week trip to see family. And you know, when family moved over there, I was like, shit, I gotta move over there now.
Yeah.
I can't stay at my uncle's house no more. I gotta figure it out. At
So
six,
who was you living with in India?
in India, I stayed with my grandparents. I grew up with them, you know, and my mama. And my dad spent a lot of time. He was a politician, but towards the end of his career, he spent a lot of time in jail. So we didn't really, you know, have that much of a bond.
And what was he going to jail for?
Shit. He went to jail in the last time he went to jail before he died. Rest in peace. He went to jail for like basically a chit fund scam for like 6 million rupees, and it was all on the news. And you know,
Was he a politician at the time?
he was a former politician, so it wasn't, you know, it didn't really affect me because by that time I had grown up with my grandparents, you know. I didn't really have that politician son's like upbringing, like, you know, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So what what made you decide you're gonna live here? You were visiting because you had family here, but then one day you said you decide you're gonna stay.
I came here like, yeah, basically that, but when it was time to go for like college and high school and stuff like that, I basically I kind of made up my mind like India is not for me. I've been a musician since I was young. I play 5 instruments. It's more to me just than, you know, a rapper or entertainer, or, you know, I actually play music. I know how to read, write music. I play jazz. I have a background in playing funk, jazz, you know, different types of music. So growing up, I knew if I wanted to make music, I wouldn't be able to be a successful person in India. That's basically because of how society kind of, you know, makes it seem like it is. Like you
Yes.
got to be a doctor or engineer.
What about the in Bombay where they have the entertainment part where you can? I'm assuming you can do anything you want over there, right?
Yeah, but it's like Bollywood music is like a genre in itself, if that makes sense. You know, it's now because Nas actually went to India and he made one of the most famous Bollywood movies in the last 5 years. Hip hop is the new Bollywood, so Bollywood music has hip hop soundtracks now.
Who went to India?
Nas,
Oh,
yeah,
and what was he doing there for?
he actually made a movie called Gully Boy, which was about hip hop culture in India that's been coming up for people like me over the last 20 years. We've had this subculture, but we didn't really have a voice. In the last few years, it's been growing and growing and growing to the point where Nas shows some type of interest in India itself, you know?
That's interesting.
Def Jam too, they just opened up an office over there in India.
So they're looking for talent.
I believe so,
Okay.
but in that Bollywood realm.
Oh, okay. Not sounding American style rap.
Yeah, basically anything that they could Indianize, you know?
Did you listen to that kind of music when you were young?
Growing up, not really.
Why not?
Shit, I grew up on jazz, funk, you know, soul music. It was kind of ironic because it was like my mom, she's super literate and she's just kind of cultured. She had been to America even before I was born and crazy stuff. So like she kind of knew music. She would play like old records and just like certain stuff. Like, you know, I just didn't grow up like that. You know, like everybody. That's why I kind of stood out growing up.
Okay. So you decide to make LA your permanent home, or at least a temporary home, right?
Yeah, you know, definitely. I kind of just because of how the whole music scene was, I felt like this was a great place for me. You know, we all move here, and I don't know about, you know, I can't speak for nobody else, but me, I was for sure starstruck by Hollywood as a kid, you know. So I thought it was, oh, palm trees and it's all sunny and it's great and it's amazing, you know. And as soon as you come, somebody gives you $1 million contract and it's over.
So name some of the American artists that you heard of while living in India.
So it's just a lot. Like, I don't know if like, I don't even know if you know, like Herbie Hancock, Kamasi Washington, you know,
Herbie Hancock just had a concert at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, he's hard.
Yeah.
I've been listening to him since a kid. Let's see. Obviously, like, you know, the classics, like, say, I don't know, it was just a lot. Like, I even grew up on listening to rock music. You know, it's ironic because I don't really use guitar as such in my music, but I know how to play the guitar. So it was just a melting pot. Anywhere from bands, you could go anywhere from Metallica to Genuine to Ricky Martin to say Jimi Hendrix, all the way to Herbie Hancock, back to like Draco the Ruler.
Now, were your friends in India? They had the same taste in music, but they didn't grow up with listening to the stuff your mom had you listening to, right?
Yeah, like, cause my mom was kind of cool. She was like, she never pressured me like, oh, you gotta grow up and become a doctor, you know? Just like, do whatever you do, whatever makes you happy. If it makes you happy, it makes me happy. Just make sure it make you money too. Say.
So a lot of kids are pressured to go into these professional fields?
Yeah, that's why it was hard for me to find friends, you know? I would find friends like that would do music and stuff, but it wasn't like as many, you know? It was probably 5 kids out of a class of 40 or 30.
Okay. So now when you decided to come here, your first residence was in Hollywood when you had roommates?
Yeah,
subleasing?
At first it was a dorm. I got kicked out of the dorm in a week. Just some bullshit, you know. I felt like somebody was trying to racially stereotype me in a way, and you know, that's that. You know, that's the end of it. I ended up in an apartment I found on Facebook. I'm thinking, this is cool, $800 studio apartment back then in like 2014. That's, you know, yeah, mind you, I'm like 17, 18, so in my head I'm like, whoa, this is great. I have my own place, I don't need the dorm, F the school. 2 weeks later, I get kicked out that.
Now, how were you gonna pay for your rent?
I was doing stuff like recording people. I came here, I was just a musician, you know? I was like a blank slate. And I started playing in a band. I started recording others. I started making beats. I started doing sound for smaller movies. You know, holding the boom mic on set, just anything and everything that could pay me, but like help me out, learn more than anything. It wasn't like, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I gotta get this money. It was like, I really want to learn this because in India we don't have the tools, or we didn't have the tools back then, or the resources to learn about the music industry. So I really, honestly, for the most part, I was recording people because that's where I wanted to head. My first, you know, when I came there, I wanted to have a studio. But over years, you know, it's become so common for everybody to have an interface and a mic and stuff like that, that it's just become extremely common. Soon, in a year or 2 years, I kind of gave that dream up because everybody had a studio. Everybody had a mic, $70 mic, say $100 interface and $100 speakers. You good. That's all you need. All you need is Logic or, you know, Pro Tools. You know, I came to music school and I realized that what I was being taught was from 5 years ago, you know? And what I was gonna learn was probably not gonna apply for the next 5 years. So I started kind of understanding and trying to apply myself and really understand what the music industry was practically versus what I was learning at school in the books. I was going to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, and I graduated from there, and I did an entertainment business bachelor's degree, a Bachelor of Science from the Los Angeles Film School.
How was your experience there, even though they weren't teaching you the current methods, right?
Yeah, I got to work with one of Michael Jackson's engineers, David Isaac. Shout out David Isaac. You know, he was one of my day one teachers, and he really like took me under his wing and was like, I believe in you. Like, don't worry, like you got it. Don't be scared of the equipment and, you know, stuff like that. But one of the first people that really pushed me at music school was Red Rum. You know, that's somebody that's been on your on your platform before.
You're talking about Red Rum from Inglewood.
Right.
Okay, originally he rapped on Bangin' on Wax.
Right, that's him.
Okay, did you ever listen? I doubt you guys were getting Bangin' on Wax in India, huh?
Actually, ironically, this is the story me and Rum used to always laugh over. My uncle, he used to stay in LA, right? And I used to always ask him to bring me video games for the PS1, and you know how it is, like, you got an uncle that's living in the US, you gonna ask him for some too. He used to bring me basic shit like Twix, and I'd be so like, you feel me, I'd be like flabbergasted, like, whoa, like, I wanted Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, because you can find it in India then. And instead of that, I feel like he went to one of the swap meets or something. He was trying to save him some dollars. He got the ripped off CDs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The ones you could rip the game off on the PC games. And it was banging on wax. And he thought it was like a video game because it was like, you know, kind of like gangstered out, like extra out. And he was like, whoa, this looks like animated, like this is probably like a video game. And he got me the CD and I put it in my dad's computer. That shit was music. So, you know, I for sure remember that, but it came to me realization later, you know.
Yeah, so how did you even meet Red Rum in the first place?
It's a crazy story. I've been working on music for, you know, years. At the point where I had went to music school, I was just an engineer and a guitar player and a musician. You know, I love music. I was ready to play any role. But I got in, like, you know, moving to the inner city or different parts of the inner city in LA County, I started mingling more with hip hop. You know, having a diverse background, I was always open to it, understood it, and listened to artists like Kendrick Lamar and stuff. But now I was really making beats using my instruments and sampling and, you know, trying to learn that. And in the process, I started producing and trying to build my own team. Those people kept going to jail again and again and again, like literally. They'll get out, we'll make one song, I'll produce them thinking I was, you know, basically I was banking on somebody else to blow up. And when they kept going to jail, all of my friends, you know, just repeatedly kept, you know, dying or going to jail, basically, I just thought, like, you know, I got to do this for myself. I can't keep waiting for everybody, you know. Not like that, but basically, you know, I was like, maybe I should try it, and it kind of took a turn for the better, to say.
And some of these artists that were going to jail, were they from like different hoods, different
Yeah,
gangs?
like different hoods. You know, first, I don't know why. Ironically, when I first moved here, probably because of, you know, certain friends. I had a lot of friends that were from different hoods and that were actively gangbanging in the streets and stuff like that. And I felt like that's probably what, that's why Rum kind of gravitated towards me, you know? Because it was all these artists out there in LA that were starting to make their own sound and stuff like that, but they were all like, you know, they couldn't really make too much music with different people. Like they couldn't really, you know, collaborate with so many artists. In LA, the number one problem people have while making music with others is wondering where somebody is from. And with me, Red Rum didn't have to really you know, worry about that because I'm from India and that's, you know, what I represent.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, necessarily I grew up in certain parts of the hood and certain cities with certain people, you know, and closely, you know, I still understand that my purpose, and even, you know, this is what Rum and I will always have a conversation about, that he gravitated towards me because he realized that I was in the middle of, and, you know, basically in the mix, but I still understood that I was, you know, I had a purpose of, you know, actually being the voice to my people rather than just fitting in. I was okay with standing out, you know? Growing up, I was always the black sheep.
Did you get an opportunity to do any music with Red Rum?
Yes, we actually have a tape together that was gonna drop soon. I have a G-Funk song with him. I put him on with something, on a new West Coast song with Jag. Shout out Chubby Jag, you know. And we have a lot of, like, actually we have like at least 5-6 songs in the wall.
I've known Red Rum a long time, but he never told me he was sick.
Right.
I guess he just wanted to keep that to himself. What did you know about what he was going through?
He's a very strong individual. For him, you have to think of him like, you know, he's always had to put on that smile and always, in many ways, like, I don't know how to explain it to you, like, he felt like he was one of those people that felt like he didn't need anybody's sympathy, you know? And he worked solely off the fact, like, he was doing, even till he was, you know, his last few days, he was really inclined on still doing music, releasing projects, you know? So for him, being from where he was from in the community growing up, and, you know, Death Row Records, banging on wax, still kind of being blackballed, because, you know, for the figure he was in the, like, black community in LA, giving back not only to his city or just to overall, not only the card that he was from, but also, you know, like LA as a whole, people, he was really blackballed, you know, for his contributions. So for him, he had always from day one he had to put on that I'm okay. It's okay. It's fine. Like knowing him closely, he didn't want nobody to know nothing was going on. Even till the last few days,
Yeah.
he'd tell me, I'll be like, Pops, what's going on? He'd be like, I'm all right. Focus on you. I want you to, get it going, even if I can't be here.
So are you gonna release that music soon?
Yes, definitely. In many songs, I've commemorated him and shouted him out, and now I'm dropping some of the music. It's just as dear to me because, when I was homeless, he took me in as his, like, damn near like his own kid. And I would actually, for a while, sometimes when I didn't have a place to stay or, for days at the end, he would let me stay at his house on 112th and Parmalee right there in Watts. That itself was a different, culture because him being the strong person he was always trying to uplift every community around him, Even musically, he would shoot videos for people. He would always have his camera with him. He was like a very hands-on, like he was for the community. He wasn't against it,
Yeah, he shot a lot of footage, but he didn't often post it.
Right.
He didn't post it.
It's probably still footage out there.
Where do we know where all his footage is at?
Actually, I don't,
Yeah.
Even though I was so in close cahoots with him and the family, I actually don't know where it's at. But, it's probably, somewhere
Did he
there.
have a wife or a girlfriend?
Yes.
She probably would know.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
I actually haven't dug deep into it because me personally, it kind of affected me too much. Moving, transitioning to America, and him being one of the first people that was like a teacher and a mentor to me, and somebody that really, really loved me and cared for the well-being of me. That affected me so much. I kind of just, sometimes you don't want to keep going back over there or touching those subjects because it's a touchy place sometimes.
Yeah. So when you moved to Compton, how long did it take before you started learning about the gangs, or did you already know about the gangs?
I mean, honestly, the funny part is, even in whichever part of the city I lived in, I stayed in so many different parts of of LA, Compton, Watts, Inglewood, Lawndale, South Bay area, Gardena, Hawthorne, North Hollywood, the Valley, you feel me, San Gabriel. It's like I kind of experienced that culture on all types of different climates and different temperaments, And I don't know, like at first I wouldn't really get it because people would ask me like, I would wear baggy clothes or I would wear certain clothes or certain jerseys and certain hats, and I didn't really know that in LA it stands or, people relate or try to make, that certain sports logo stands for hoods and stuff like that. I would often get banged on. Literally. People would think that often people would think I'm from a Mexican gang. You feel me?
So you started to learn that some of the baseball caps started to mean different neighborhoods.
Yeah. You feel me? I'll see my friends wear something. I'll go wear that shit, get banged on. Where you from? I'm from India. What? I'm from India. That'd be just a whole different, you feel me?
When people would hear you talk and hear that Indian accent, would they kind of leave you alone then?
Yeah, because you feel me? At the end of the day, you probably expecting me to be from like a neighborhood over here, or you feel me, be from a Mexican gang or whatever, and I'll give you basically the same energy, or I'm not giving you that energy. I'm just telling I'm from India, bro.
Hey, you never try to respond to them with a American hood accent?
No, I did.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I got mad. At some point you get tired of it, bro. You from India, like wherever you go, motherfucker, where you from? Where you from? We're like, bro, you see me? Feel me? Look like the dude that work at the liquor store. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But we have it was often like I ain't gonna go into detail, but there's times I said I'm from India and I still got packed out. So it was like shit.
For real?
Yeah. You feel me? So it is what it is. You feel me? LA has a
what
culture
part of
for
LA
some.
were you in when you got packed out?
Shit, by the Delamo swap meet.
Oh.
Yep.
Carson.
Right. City of Carson, I believe.
Okay. Might have been the 190s if they was in a gang that packed you out.
Man, no.
Were they Mexican or black?
They were black.
Okay.
But shit, I don't, I really don't know where they was from, to be honest. But they was like, you feel me? Like I was just waiting on some type of money. You feel me? I was waiting on money to we were making a play. My bro said he was waiting on some money. My bro was from, you know, somewhere over there. I just didn't know the difference and all that stuff.
Oh, so you was with somebody
Yeah.
that was from somewhere. Where
Yeah.
was your bro from?
Man, basically, I kept asking him, where's the money at, bro? It's been 5 hours. We just waiting in the parking lot. Like, where's the money at?
Yeah.
And he meant like, you know, I was from India, bro. So I didn't really understand when, you know, like how people say on God or, you know, on whatever. I didn't understand. I had been to Compton before and I had friends from over there from different hoods and shit. And, you know, Pops, Red Rum and shit. So like, I knew certain shit. So I knew there was like a street called Paru Street, if that makes sense. I knew there was a street called Paru Street on the map, on GPS, you know, because I had passed it as a tourist, as a traveler, as an Indian, you know, and I just had never seen Crip Street. So when the dude was like on Crip Street, I was like, where Crip Street at? And man, I got packed out. You know, that's unfortunate, but shit, you know, I really didn't know, you know. There's a difference between being disrespectful and there's a difference between really not knowing. I was from India and I got packed out. So shit, LA is a melting pot, you know. People that want to do something will do it regardless whether they want to or not. That's the, you know, moral of the story.
So I mean, you learned a lot of lessons in these streets, huh?
Yeah, basically, shit. It's a culture shock in many ways.
Let me ask you this: if another young Indian, 17, 18, moves to LA and he wants to get involved in hip hop and rap, and he's completely ignorant of this city,
Stay in Hollywood.
what would you tell him?
Stay in Hollywood on Hollywood Boulevard. Stay in Hollywood, bro. Where the school at?
Yeah.
For
But
real.
what if he wants to meet people like Red Rum? He wants to meet people
I
like
mean, yeah, like,
Stone Rule.
I have people like I have friends from India that come here and they visit like, you feel me, like they visit LA for what it really is, you know. And my friends welcome them. My friends that's from over here, they welcome them, you know. They don't make them feel uncomfortable. You know, shout out my boy Bray, shout out Jay Stone. I have friends from India, and when I bring them over here to the city and they like make them really feel comfortable, like they got pictures with them and all that, like they feel home. They don't feel like they have to feel unsafe here. So, you know, that's what I love about my friends, because a lot of people don't realize that I'm really a living example of how black people are not racist. Despite all the you know, despite all the racism, you know, all, you know, being judged, all the stereotypes, ostracism, all that stuff, like, I'm really a living example of how they welcome everybody. They love everybody, you know? My friends are welcome. My friend just came from India. He was right here at this house, you feel me? He felt welcome. He felt comfortable. But, you know, again, it's a difference, you know? I didn't really ask to be homeless, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So for anybody that has the resources, like, said I had the ball in my hand and I lost it, you feel me, many times, and I gained it back. But the point is, if you have the ball in your hand and you know that, you know, that's what you know, you have an opportunity, you're in Hollywood or you're at a good school and stuff, and you're not homeless, or you're not going homeless, none of that stuff, like, then you should use it to your advantage, bro, and stop trying to be like this culture, because people from this culture are trying to be like you know, at the end of the day.
So,
Man, one thing, something, baby.
you've put yourself in quite a few dangerous situations, maybe not really understanding at the time.
Yeah,
right?
that's what it was. Like, people always think it's like out of ignorance or it's out of disrespect, but it was really out of like not being educated about LA culture.
So after you got packed out, I mean, what was your immediate? I mean, you have to get up and dust yourself off and keep on going, right?
Yeah, like I mean, one of the dudes was like he just shook my hand and he was like, "You really from India?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm trying to tell you, I'm really from India." Like, he just smiled. Like, I was at that point, that smile wasn't helping it, because it was like, "Bro, feel me? I'm bleeding and shit, and like, y'all didn't need to do that to me. If anything, I'm like, you know, I feel more welcome around this culture."
Yeah. So at some point you realize that a lot of people come to LA to make it in some sort of business, whether it's music, acting, modeling, but they don't realize that the grind is for real and that the struggle is part of the grind,
like you see
right?
the Hollywood Boulevard and you're like Wooty Woo shit there, my shit finna be next. I don't really speak on this too much, but I like coming to America and being around people like Red Rum, Jay Stone, Big Wag, T. Rogers, like I understood that most people, like the older people, have an understanding that communities here like to see each other destroy each other, if that makes sense, you know. And media companies and overall bigger organizations gain from it, you know. Even with artists dying, they got health insurance on these artists, you know, life insurance. My bad.
So you met T. Rogers?
Yeah, through Pops. Yep, once.
Oh, okay.
You know, just all these people, like I kind of understood the people that are really in the streets. They have an understanding of how it affects their people, you know. Not just like them being from somewhere or having to grow up in LA, Compton, Long Beach, you know, different parts of the county. Like I feel like people like that really, you know, they're the ones that really have their head on the shoulders, because there's a lot of, you know, young people my age, younger, that don't, you know, they don't see it for what it really is.
Okay, so what are your goals now? What is it you're trying to accomplish now in this part of your career?
Honestly, for me, like, cause I don't want to put it like in a moral way, but in the most simplest term, I'm bridging communities. You know, I'm a living example of you can be yourself and grow up in, you know, various different cultural neighborhoods or backgrounds and still be yourself. You know, as you hear me, like you probably hear my accent. You know, I'm myself. So for me, the biggest thing is I'm bridging my community. I'm making it okay for people to use music as a positive means of reinforcement. You know, I'm making it okay to be yourself in many ways. That's why I'm dropping albums and dropping music about my story. I just dropped an album called Foreigner, and I dropped an exotic soda with it. So if you scan the code on the soda, you get an album and you get an unreleased music video that's not on distribution platforms.
Okay, so this is an album that just came out recently?
Yeah, the album just dropped 2 months ago.
Okay. And where can people listen to it at?
It's on all platforms. It's under the name of Foreigner by Illah, ILLAH. And I chose the name because I feel like coming here, LA, meeting all these people, having the experiences I had being from India, I feel like everybody here is a foreigner, you know? No one's really American.
What are some of the songs on that album?
Some of the songs on that album are Long Live Sosa, to commemorate my big brother. That's somebody I grew up with very closely. He was also my roommate. When he died, you know, that was definitely a turning point in my life, because that was somebody I looked up to. And somebody, you know, that was just somebody that made me feel like home, you know? Somebody I could say that that's my big brother. That's, you know, he knew Rum too. That's one of the songs, Long Live Sosa. The other song I really, really like is...
Where was Sosa from?
Sosa was from Fruitown, Paro.
Oh, right here, right down the street, huh?
Right.
Okay. What happened to Sosa?
Sosa got shot, you know, and unfortunately, that kind of changed a lot of things for me, you know. Like, that was my big bro. So that was a turning point in my life, because that's kind of where I realized, like, the only people, you know, that's after Rum passed. So I realized that were the two people that really, really loved and cared for me are gone. And everybody else that I care about or that cares about me is in jail or keeps going to jail. So, you know, what am I here for?
What are some of the other songs?
Meet the Flockers, that's another song I like. Another song off the album I really like is For Me and Shrimp and Lobster. We have a video coming out for Shrimp and Lobster next week.
Who's in that song, Shrimp the Lobster?
Most of those songs are solo songs, they're all me. And one song, the song Sneaky Link, has my friend Bolo on it. Shout out Bolo.
Where's Bolo from?
Fruitown.
Okay. So you have a strong connection to the fruit towns in Compton, huh?
I wouldn't, yes and no, like I wouldn't really say like, you know, I represent any community in Compton or as a such. I just, you know, I'm just Indian. My friends love me for who I am, you know?
Yeah.
It's different, you know? They always told me from day one, a lot of my friends, you know, they told me, you're the prize, Mo. You gotta start, you know, carrying yourself like that. We need you to blow up. We can't have you being in jail. A lot of my friends don't want me being in jail wherever they're from, you know?
You've stayed out of jail?
Mexican, black, whatever, you know?
You've managed to stay out of jail since you've been here?
Yeah, I had a little experience before I turned 18, not out here, But you know, that kind of just, that was it for me, you know. So you go to juvenile in a third world country, it's not the same as, you feel me, East Lake or Sylmar, like, you know. It is, but it's not, you know. Even though it's probably less violence and shit, just how you see like the mental conditions of people, and just seeing how third world it is, and people offering you like, you know, it's just bad, you know. That made me realize like I had to elevate. So when I came here, I already had like that right head on my shoulders, meeting Rum, meeting J Stone, people like that, you know. Shout out Ears, that's one of the people that really made sure that I was doing my music, you know. Mr. Get Off Me, feel me, my guy Funk P, my brother Enel, Kisimo, feel me. So a lot of people that you know, that really helped me and try to, you know, tell me like, more, you're the prize, like we don't need you in the streets, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I always have my head on the right place. I never needed like, oh, like, you know, I need to get this right, or I need to be from here, or I'm from here. Like I was always told, bro, that's the Indian homie. He's from India. Let him be, you know. We respect him for who he is, because he loves and respects us and helps us, you know, in wherever community, whichever hood I went, you know.
So do you still you on this album? Did you produce all the tracks too?
I mixed and mastered all of them, but I produced like 2 of them. I co-produced them actually.
And where do you get your other tracks from?
I actually get them from my friend Vangela and Zen and Viper. They're all good producers. Shout out Viper BC from he worked with Stink Team. So you know, that's he from Stink Team. He got a lot of Draco. You know, work with posthumous work with Draco, Ralphie. You know, shout out to them.
Okay. And before we wrap up, I wanted you to talk about some of this merchandise that you got here.
This is how I'm selling the album. If y'all want to get my album, because you know, cars don't got CD players no more. Everything is digital. You could scan this code on the drink. The drink is for $10. You get the drink and get the album free, and a music video that's not been released.
Okay. And how do people get the drink though? Is that something you ship it or what?
I ship it, and it's also available at certain stores in Hollywood, such as Ignite Smoke Shop. Shout out Ignite. You know, appreciate them. They're our close partners. They helped me launch the drink too.
Okay.
But it's mostly DM. Like I'll be getting messages from Germany, Detroit, like all types of places I would never expect. I've never been to Detroit or Germany.
And they're DMing you on which platform? Give us that.
Instagram, YouTube. My Instagram is India's Only, and the backup page is India's Only 04.
So how did you come up with the idea to bottle a tea and then put the QR code on there to access the music?
Because everybody rap. You know, I just wanted to do something different, and at the same time I wanted to make it fun, you know. We did a little event, and you know, we're just promoting the drink now, so we're doing pop-ups for the drink, you know.
I think Nipsey Hussle would be proud of that idea.
You know, rather than me being in the streets, robbing, doing wrong shit, I'm doing the right thing, you know, pushing the right, you know, the narrative, and that's what I'm trying to do for even the people that's in and around my community. I'm using music as a positive means of reinforcement for even the incarcerated, you know.
And what would you tell people Compton's like for a person that has never been to Compton? We're in Compton right now. What would you tell them it's like here in Compton?
So it's a melting pot of different cultures, and it's just yeah, really, it's a melting pot. You're gonna meet people from all walks of life, you know. You're gonna meet people that's doing all different types of ventures. But that's for, you know, just LA as a whole, you know.
Now you said you would tell a young Indian if there was another young Illah, you would say stay in Hollywood.
Stay in Hollywood for sure.
If they stayed in Hollywood, they wouldn't be working with some of the people you're working with now. You mentioned quite a few different people, right?
Right. No, I understand that, but I don't know how to put it. Like, in the best way. Like this, like some of the experiences that I went through, I don't wish adversity, poverty, you know, not having the right education about certain topics on anyone at the end of the day. So, you know, if you have the ball in your hand, you know you're the prize, you could get your friends up out of that situation, or you know, you have the resources, whatever it may be, wherever they may be, to get yourself and people around you that you love out of that situation, man. Don't be trying to be like them. They trying to be like you. Feel me?